I was just a broke single dad rushing my dying daughter to the hospital. Then I saw the car crash. 3 armed men. A trapped billionaire. I had seconds to choose, save my child or save a stranger. I chose both. 3 bullets ripped through me. She survived but never walked again. What happened next changed thousands of lives forever. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. The rain hammered against the cracked windshield as Daniel pressed his hand against his daughter's forehead. The fever burned through her small body like wildfire. 7 years old, and Emma had already seen too much pain in her short life, losing her mother to cancer 2 years ago, watching her father work 3 jobs just to keep their tiny apartment, going to bed hungry more nights than she should. Tonight was different. Tonight, the fever wouldn't break. "Daddy, I'm cold," Emma whispered, her lips turning pale. Daniel's heart shattered into a million pieces. He had $17 in his wallet. The emergency room bill would be thousands. But what choice did he have? His daughter was dying. He started the old car, a 1998 sedan that coughed black smoke and rattled like a dying animal. The engine barely turned over. Daniel slammed his fist on the dashboard. "Please," he begged the universe. "Just this once. Let something go right." The engine caught. Daniel wrapped Emma in every blanket they owned and drove toward the city hospital. The windshield wipers could barely keep up with the storm. Thunder rolled across the dark sky. That's when he saw it. A black Mercedes lay on its side in the middle of the flooded intersection. Smoke poured from the engine. Through the rain, Daniel could see movement inside, someone trapped. Every second mattered. Emma needed help now. But his hands turned the steering wheel on their own, pulling to the side of the road. "Emma, baby, stay here. Lock the doors. Daddy will be right back." "Don't go," she whispered, but Daniel was already running through the rain. He reached the Mercedes and looked through the shattered window. A woman in an expensive suit was trapped inside, her legs pinned under the crushed dashboard. Blood ran down her face. But what made Daniel's blood turn to ice were the 3 men approaching the car, guns drawn. Well, the tallest one said, his voice cold as death. "Victoria Chen. The great billionaire who destroyed my family's company, took everything from us, left my father to die in poverty." The woman, Victoria, looked up with fierce eyes despite her pain. "Your father was stealing from his employees. I exposed the truth. That's not destruction. That's justice." "Justice?" The man laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "You want to talk about justice? My father killed himself because of you. Hung himself in our garage. My mother died from a broken heart 6 months later. My little sister had to drop out of college. We lost everything. And you? You got richer. You got famous. You got praised for being so ethical." He raised his gun. "Tonight, Victoria Chen, you pay your debt." Daniel didn't think. Thinking was for people who had time. He threw himself at the gunman just as 3 shots exploded into the night. The first bullet hit Daniel's shoulder. The second tore through his chest. The third punctured his lung. But Victoria was alive behind him. Daniel collapsed into the flood water, rain mixing with blood. The 3 men ran, sirens wailing in the distance. Someone must have called the police. Victoria screamed from inside the car. "Help him. Please. Somebody help him." Daniel's vision blurred. Emma. His daughter. She was alone in the car. Sick. Dying. And now he was dying too. What had he done? "Your daughter," Victoria's voice cut through the pain. "Where is she?" Daniel's hand shook as he pointed toward his car. The last thing he remembered was Victoria's voice, sharp with command, even trapped and bleeding, listen to me. You don't die tonight. Do you hear me? You don't die. Your daughter needs you. You don't get to die. Daniel woke up to white walls and the steady beep of machines. Every breath felt like knives in his chest. A tube ran down his throat. Bandages covered half his body. But he was alive. A nurse noticed his open eyes and rushed over. Mr. Hayes. Thank God. You've been in a coma for 3 days. Don't try to talk with the tube. Just listen. Your daughter is okay. She's here. She's safe. Tears ran down Daniel's face. The nurse smiled gently. The woman you saved, Ms. Chen, she made sure Emma got the best doctors. Your daughter had pneumonia, very serious, but they treated it. She's recovering in the children's ward. Ms. Chen paid for everything. Your surgeries, Emma's treatment, everything. Over the next week, as Daniel slowly healed, he learned the full story. Victoria Chen was one of the richest women in the country. Real estate empire. Tech investments, charitable foundations. And yes, she had exposed corruption in dozens of companies, making powerful enemies. The man who tried to kill her was Marcus Reynolds, son of a CEO whose fraud Victoria had revealed 5 years ago. Marcus had been planning his revenge ever since his father's suicide. The police caught him and his 2 accomplices fleeing the scene. They would spend decades in prison. But none of that mattered to Daniel. What mattered was the small hand that held his own as Emma sat beside his hospital bed, healthy again, color back in her cheeks. "Daddy, you're a hero," she whispered. "No, baby. I'm just your dad." 2 weeks later, Daniel was moved to a recovery room. The medical bills would have crushed him, over $400,000. But Victoria had paid every cent. She visited him on a Thursday afternoon, wheelchair-bound from her own injuries. Her legs had been badly damaged in the crash. The doctors said she might never walk normally again. "Mr. Hayes," she said, and her voice carried the weight of someone used to commanding boardrooms. But there was something else there too, something vulnerable. "I owe you my life." Daniel shook his head. "You don't owe me anything. I just did what anyone would do." "No." Victoria's eyes were fierce. "Most people would have driven past. You had your own emergency. Your own daughter dying in your car. But you stopped. You sacrificed everything for a stranger." She paused, and for the first time, Daniel saw her hands shake. "Those men would have killed me. Shot me in the head and left me to drown in that car. Because of choices I made, good choices, ethical choices, but choices that hurt people anyway." Marcus Reynolds' father was guilty. The evidence was clear. But Marcus was 17 when his father died. Just a kid. And in his eyes, I was the villain who destroyed his family. Victoria looked out the window at the city below. "I've been thinking about that. About how we can do the right thing and still leave destruction in our wake. About how justice for some means tragedy for others." "You exposed a thief," Daniel said quietly. "You protected innocent people. That's not wrong. But it wasn't complete." Victoria turned back to him. "I revealed the crime. I didn't help the family left behind. Marcus and his sister lost everything, their father, their mother, their future. I could have helped them. I should have. But I was so focused on the win, on being right, that I never looked at the collateral damage." She wheeled closer to his bed. "You taught me something, Daniel Hayes. You showed me what real sacrifice looks like. What it means to put someone else first, even when it costs you everything. I've been rich my whole life. I've donated millions to charity. But I never actually gave up anything that mattered to me. You gave up your life. For me. A stranger." Daniel felt uncomfortable with her intensity. "I'm not a good man. I'm just a father trying to survive. You're wrong. Victoria's voice was steel. Good men are exactly the ones who think they're not good enough. My father used to say that. He was a janitor. Worked 70 hours a week to put me through school, died before he could see me succeed. I built my empire to honor him. But somewhere along the way, I forgot what he taught me, that real wealth isn't money. It's the lives you touch. The people you save. She reached into her bag and pulled out an envelope. I can't give you back the time you lost. I can't heal your wounds faster. But I can make sure you and Emma never struggle again. Daniel opened the envelope. Inside was a check for $5 million. He stared at it, unable to breathe. Ms. Chen, I can't, this is too much. It's not enough. Victoria's eyes were wet. You gave me my life. This is just money. But there's more. I'm offering you a position in my company. Director of Community Outreach. 6-figure salary, full benefits. Your job will be to find people like Marcus Reynolds, families destroyed by circumstances beyond their control, and help them. Really help them. Education funds, job training, mental health support. We're going to make sure that when we do the right thing, we also take care of the people hurt in the process. Daniel couldn't speak. You'll work from home as much as you need. Emma is your priority. But I need your perspective. I need someone who understands struggle. Who knows what it's like to have nothing. Who will keep me honest. She smiled, and it transformed her entire face. Besides, my lawyers inform me that the man who saved my life is uniquely qualified to tell me when I'm being an out-of-touch billionaire. Daniel laughed, then winced as pain shot through his chest. Why are you doing this? He asked. Victoria's smile faded. Because Marcus Reynolds was right about one thing. I took everything from his family. Not intentionally. Not maliciously. But the result was the same. His father was guilty, yes. But Marcus and his sister were innocent. They deserved help, not abandonment. I'm trying to be better. To do better. And you're going to help me. 6 months later, Daniel stood in Victoria's office, a penthouse suite overlooking the city. Emma was in the company's daycare center downstairs, playing with other employees' children. She was healthy now. Happy, thriving in a new private school. Daniel had moved them into a real apartment, 2 bedrooms, heating that worked, a kitchen where he could cook Emma real meals. The nightmares had started to fade. The scars would never fully heal, but he could breathe without pain now. Victoria was still in the wheelchair. The doctors had done 3 surgeries, but her spine had been damaged. She might never walk again. Yet somehow, she seemed more alive than ever. The Reynolds Foundation is ready to launch, she told him. Full scholarships for Marcus's sister, therapy for both of them. We reached out through their lawyer. Marcus didn't want to meet with me, not yet, but he accepted the help for his sister. She showed Daniel the plans. And this is the real work. $10 million a year to identify families affected by corporate exposures. Not to hide the truth. Never that. But to make sure the innocent don't suffer for others' crimes. Daniel reviewed the documents. Over the past months, he'd learned this world, the world of boardrooms and budgets and big decisions. Victoria had been patient, teaching him everything. But more than that, they'd become friends. Real friends point to people from completely different worlds who had found common ground in shared trauma and shared purpose. There's something else, Victoria said, and her voice was nervous now. Daniel looked up, surprised. Victoria Chen was never nervous. She took a deep breath. The doctors cleared me to try an experimental surgery. There's a 30% chance I could walk again. But there's also a 20% chance of complete paralysis. And a 5% chance I don't survive the operation. Daniel's heart stopped. Then don't do it. I'm afraid, Victoria admitted, and it was the first time he'd heard her say those words. Not of dying. Not really. But of being weak. Of needing help. I've been independent my whole life. Built everything myself. The wheelchair feels like failure. It's not failure. Daniel moved closer. You're alive. You're changing lives. You're building something that matters. The wheelchair doesn't change any of that. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. I know that here. She tapped her head. But not here. She pressed her hand to her heart. I keep thinking about that night. About how helpless I was. Trapped in that car, waiting to die. And you could barely stand, but you stood anyway. You fought. You saved me. And I can't even walk across a room. You don't need to walk to be strong, Daniel said. Emma taught me that. When her mother was dying, Emma was 6 years old. Just a baby. But she would sit by her mother's bed and read to her. Made up stories, silly songs. She couldn't fix the cancer. Couldn't make her mother better. But she gave her something more important, love. Presence. Hope. That's real strength, Victoria. Not walking. Not independence. But showing up, being there, loving people even when it's hard. Victoria wiped her eyes. When did you become so wise? When I almost died saving a stubborn billionaire who thinks wheelchairs make her weak. They both laughed. Victoria made her decision. She wouldn't do the surgery. Not because of fear, but because she didn't need to. She was enough exactly as she was. 1 year after the shooting, Daniel received an unexpected letter. It was from Marcus Reynolds, written from prison. Mr. Hayes. I don't know if you'll read this. I don't know if you should. I tried to kill someone, and you nearly died stopping me. I have no right to your time or attention. But I needed to tell you something. My sister graduated college last month. Full scholarship from the Reynolds Foundation. She's going to medical school. She wants to help people. She says that's what Dad would have wanted, for his mistakes to somehow lead to something good. I'll be in prison for 15 more years. I deserve every day of it. What I tried to do was monstrous. But Ms. Chen has been writing to me. Visiting me. She told me about you. About your daughter. About how you had every reason to drive past that night, but you didn't. She also told me about the foundation. About how she's trying to help families like mine. It doesn't erase what happened. Doesn't bring my parents back. But it means something. It means their pain wasn't completely pointless. I'm in therapy now. Real therapy, working through my anger. My grief. My guilt. It's hard. Some days I want to give up. But then I think about what my sister said, that maybe Dad's story doesn't have to end in tragedy. Maybe it can end in change. You didn't know my father. Didn't know what he did. But you saved the woman who exposed him. And somehow, that act of grace, that moment of selfless courage, started a chain reaction that gave my sister her future back. I don't believe in fate. But I believe in choices. You chose to stop. To help. To sacrifice. And that choice changed everything. Thank you doesn't come close to enough. But thank you anyway. Marcus. Daniel read the letter 3 times, tears streaming down his face. That night, he showed it to Victoria over dinner, a regular thing now, Thursday nights, his apartment, Emma helping cook. He's going to be okay, Victoria said. It'll take time. Lots of time. But he's going to be okay. Because of you, Daniel said. Because of us. Victoria smiled. You taught me to see the whole picture. Not just the crime. Not just the punishment. But the people left behind. The children who didn't choose any of this. That's the real work, not just finding justice, but building mercy into the system. Emma ran into the room, a drawing in her hands. Look! I drew us. The picture showed 3 stick figures, one small, one medium, one in a wheelchair. They were holding hands under a rainbow. That's beautiful, baby, Daniel said. Emma beamed. That's you, Daddy. And that's me. And that's Aunt Victoria. Aunt Victoria. When had that started? Victoria's eyes went soft. Can I keep this, Emma? Yes. I made it for you. Victoria took the drawing like it was made of gold. I'm going to frame this and put it in my office. After Emma went to bed, Daniel and Victoria sat on the balcony, looking at the city lights. I never thought my life would look like this, Daniel admitted. A year ago, I was drowning. Working 3 jobs, watching my daughter suffer, feeling like a failure every single day. You were never a failure. Victoria's voice was firm. I felt like one. Emma's mother died, and I couldn't save her. I couldn't even afford to keep Emma healthy. What kind of father can't protect his child? A human one. Victoria reached over and squeezed his hand. You did everything you could with what you had. That's all any of us can do. And when the moment came, when you had to choose between your own emergency and a stranger's life, you chose love. You chose sacrifice. That's not failure. That's heroism. Daniel shook his head. I'm not a hero. Yes, you are. You just don't see it. But Emma does. I do. Marcus Reynolds does. All the families we've helped through the foundation, they do. You started something that night, Daniel. Something bigger than both of us. She looked at the city below. I used to measure my worth in dollars. In deals closed. In companies built. I thought success meant being powerful. Being untouchable, being the smartest person in the room. She turned to him. But you showed me what real success looks like. It's not money. It's not power. It's loving someone more than you love yourself. It's sacrifice without expectation of reward. It's showing up when everything in you screams to run away. Victoria's voice broke. You gave me more than my life that night. You gave me purpose. You gave me a reason to be better. To do better. You gave me a family. She gestured at the apartment, small but warm, filled with Emma's drawings and laughter. This is what I was missing. Not the wheelchair. Not the independence. But connection, love, being part of something that matters more than profit margins. Daniel felt his chest tighten, not from pain this time, but from overwhelming emotion. You gave me a future, he said. Emma and I were drowning. You threw us a lifeline. We threw each other lifelines. Victoria smiled through tears. That's how this works. We save each other. 5 years later, Daniel stood on a stage in front of 1,000 people. The Reynolds Foundation Gala. Emma was 13 now, sitting in the front row next to Victoria. Victoria had never regained the ability to walk. But she'd gained something more valuable, peace with herself. Acceptance. Joy. Daniel cleared his throat and spoke into the microphone. 5 years ago, I was a single father with $17 in my wallet and a dying daughter in my car. I was drowning in debt, drowning in fear, drowning in the feeling that I'd failed at the one job that mattered, being a good father. He paused, looking at the audience. Then I made a choice. A split-second decision to stop and help a stranger. I didn't think about it. Didn't weigh the costs. I just acted. He smiled at Victoria. That choice nearly killed me. 3 bullets, collapsed lung, months of recovery. But that choice also saved my life. Not just physically. But spiritually, emotionally. It gave me purpose. He looked at the faces in the crowd, people the foundation had helped. Families rebuilt. Children educated. Lives transformed. The Reynolds Foundation has helped over 10,000 families in 5 years. Full scholarships, job training, mental health support, housing assistance. We don't just expose wrongdoing. We help heal the wounds left behind. He pulled out a letter. Last week, I got this from Marcus Reynolds. He was released from prison 2 months ago. He's been working with troubled youth, kids who've lost parents, who are angry at the world, who are looking for someone to blame for their pain. Daniel's voice grew thick. He wrote, I spent 10 years hating Ms. Chen. Blaming her for everything I lost. But she didn't destroy my family. Grief did. Anger did. My refusal to accept help did. She's given me the tools to heal. To help others heal. My father made terrible choices. But those choices don't have to define my story. I'm writing a new ending. The audience was silent. That's what this foundation is about. New endings, second chances. Recognizing that justice and mercy aren't opposites, they're partners. We can hold people accountable for their actions while still caring for the innocent people affected by those actions. He looked directly at Victoria. 5 years ago, a brilliant, fierce, complicated woman nearly died because someone wanted revenge. She could have let that make her bitter. Paranoid, closed off. Instead, she opened her heart. She listened. She changed. She built something beautiful from the ashes of tragedy. Victoria was crying now, not bothering to hide it. And a single dad with nothing to offer but his own broken body threw himself in front of bullets for a stranger. Not because he was brave. But because in that moment, someone else's life mattered more than his own fear. Daniel smiled. We're all broken. Every person in this room. Life breaks us. Loss breaks us. Injustice breaks us. But we get to choose what we do with those broken pieces. Do we use them as weapons? Or do we use them to build something new? He raised his glass. To new endings.to secondchances.to the radical belief that people can change. That grace is stronger than revenge. That love, messy, complicated, sacrificial love, is the only thing that really saves us. The audience rose to their feet, applauding. That night, after the gala, Daniel tucked Emma into bed. She was too old for tucking in, really, but she still let him do it sometimes. Daddy, are you happy? She asked. Daniel thought about it. Really thought about it. Yes, baby. I'm happy. Good. Emma smiled. Mommy would be happy too. That you found Aunt Victoria. That you're helping people. Daniel's heart squeezed. Emma rarely talked about her mother anymore. You think so? I know so. Mommy always said you were a hero. Even when you didn't believe it. Daniel kissed her forehead. Get some sleep, my love. He walked to the living room, where Victoria was waiting, her wheelchair by the window. Emma's right, you know, Victoria said. You are a hero. So are you. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the city lights twinkle like stars. Do you ever regret it? Victoria asked quietly. Stopping that night? Nearly dying for me? Daniel didn't hesitate. Never. Not for 1 second. Even with the scars, the pain. The scars remind me of what matters. Emma. You. The families we help. The lives we change. That's worth every bullet. Victoria wheeled closer and took his hand. I never had a family. Not really. My parents died young. No siblings. No children. I built an empire, but I was alone in my castle. She looked up at him. You and Emma, you're my family now. My real family, the kind that's chosen. The kind that's built on sacrifice and love and showing up even when it's hard. Daniel squeezed her hand. You're ours too. And in that moment, in that small apartment with its second-hand furniture and Emma's drawings on the walls, two broken people found something neither had been looking for. Wholeness. Not because their wounds had healed. Not because life had suddenly become easy. But because they'd learned the secret that changes everything. We're not saved by avoiding pain. We're saved by facing it together. By choosing love over fear. By stopping when everything in us screams to keep driving. By taking the bullet meant for someone else. By believing that grace is stronger than revenge. By writing new endings to old stories. 3 bullets nearly destroyed them both. But those same 3 bullets built something beautiful, a family forged in fire, a foundation built on mercy, and a love that proved stronger than death itself. That's the price of a life. And Daniel Hayes would pay it again in a heartbeat. 10 years passed like a breath. Emma was 23 now, graduating from medical school. She stood on stage, accepting her diploma, and Daniel's heart felt too big for his chest. Victoria sat beside him in the audience, silver streaks in her hair now, laugh lines around her eyes. The wheelchair had become part of her, not a limitation, but just another piece of who she was. She looks just like Sarah, Victoria whispered, and Daniel nodded, unable to speak past the lump in his throat. His late wife would have been so proud. After the ceremony, Emma ran to them, diploma in hand, tears of joy streaming down her face. I did it. Daddy, I did it. Daniel hugged her tight, breathing in the moment. His little girl. The one he'd almost lost that fevered night so many years ago. Now a doctor. Ready to save lives just like hers had been saved. Your mother is watching, he whispered. She's so proud of you. Emma pulled back, looking at both of them, her father and the woman who'd become her second mother. I want to work at the Foundation's medical clinic, she announced. Helping the families we serve. That's where I'm needed most. Victoria smiled, pride radiating from every line of her face. The clinic would be honored to have you. That evening, the 3 of them went to the cemetery where Sarah was buried. They did this every year on Emma's birthday, and today felt right too, a new beginning. Emma placed flowers on her mother's grave. Mom, I wish you could see what Daddy built. What Aunt Victoria built. They've helped thousands of people. Families like ours. People who were drowning and needed someone to throw them a lifeline. She touched the headstone gently. Daddy tells me you always said he was a hero. I didn't understand when I was little. But I do now. Being a hero isn't about being fearless. It's about being terrified and doing the right thing anyway. It's about loving someone so much that their life matters more than your own comfort. Daniel felt Victoria's hand slip into his. I'm going to be a doctor who really sees people, Emma continued. Not just their symptoms. But their struggles, their fears, their stories, just like you saw people, Mom. Just like Daddy and Aunt Victoria taught me. As the sun set behind them, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink, Daniel realized something profound. That night 10 years ago, the night he stopped for a stranger, the night he took 3 bullets, the night his whole world shattered and rebuilt itself, that wasn't the end of his story. It was the beginning. Beginning of a purpose deeper than survival, beginning of a family stronger than blood, beginning of understanding that our worst moments can become our greatest gifts if we let them transform us instead of destroy us. Marcus Reynolds was out there somewhere, working with at-risk youth, turning his pain into purpose. 10,000 families had been helped by the foundation. Emma was about to start saving lives. And Daniel? He was just a single dad who'd made a choice. But that choice had rippled outward like a stone thrown into still water, touching lives he'd never meet, changing futures he'd never see, proving that one moment of courage could echo through generations. Ready to go home? Victoria asked softly. Daniel looked at his daughter, then at the woman who'd become his family, then at his wife's grave, a reminder of love that never truly ends. "Yeah," he said. "Let's go home." They drove through the city as evening settled in, past the street where it had all happened. The intersection had been renamed Haitian Memorial Square, with a monument dedicated to second chances and new beginnings. Emma fell asleep in the back seat, exhausted from her big day. Victoria looked over at Daniel. No regrets. He thought about everything that night had cost him. The pain, the scars, the months of recovery, the nightmares that still came sometimes. Then he thought about everything it had given him. Purpose, the family, the chance to change lives. The opportunity to show Emma what real love looked like. "Not even one," he whispered. And he meant it with every beat of his healing heart.